Good afternoon to those who listen. It's October 4th, 2024, 1:31 p.m. And wow, what a day so far for me. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. So yesterday I went to the emergency room, and of course, they did all the tests again, and everything all came back normal. Of course. I asked him, can you please do an MRI? No, it has to be an emergency. And I said, well, you don't consider this an emergency? It's been 5 months. No, it's got to be something that's dire right now. A brain bleed. Someone's bleeding from their stomach. Something like that. So, came home, and then the whole thing was, I called the doctor, the nurse, yesterday before I went to the emergency room and told them that whatever this bloating is going up into my lungs and it's making it hard to breathe. Oh, it's an emergency. You need to go to the emergency room. So then when I go to the emergency room, of course, they can't figure nothing out. So then afterwards, I left a message and I say, I'm so frustrated. I'm, upset that nobody can figure out anything and that nobody will do an MRI to try to find out anything. And I said, I guess I'm just going to sit at home and die. By the time you guys figure out what's wrong with me, I could be dead. Something like that. And then they called the police on me. Are you kidding me? So I get pounding on my door at 9 in the morning. And then I finally, I'm literally woke up out of a sleep, got up, answered the door, and the policeman he says, we're looking for Stefan Weinberger. I said, well, I'm him. He says, oh, we got a call that you're trying to commit suicide. I'm like, what? So then I'm talking with the police, and another officer comes, and then a counselor comes, and I told him, and I said, look at, and I showed him my belly how I'm just bloating. I said, I'm frustrated with what's going on, and it feels like I'm dying. But I never said anything about committing suicide. And I don't know where they got that. I've worded it. I'll show you how I worded it. And I've told them in the past, this doctor and the nurses, I've told them in the past, because they've asked, because I've, have a history of depression and anxiety. But since 2018, I have not seen anybody for that. And they know, I've told them, I said, you never have to worry about me committing suicide because I believe in Jesus, and I believe if you commit suicide, you go to hell. So I said, you'll never have to worry about that. I would never kill myself. I said, sometimes I feel like I'm dying, but it doesn't mean I'm going to kill myself. So they got it where it's like, I can't believe it. So it's just incredible how people are. So I said, I'm just so frustrated that this has been going on for 5 months and nobody can figure anything out. Nobody will do the tests that are required to figure out what's going on. So I'm frustrated. And anybody would be. And I've had so many people, including you guys out there, telling me that I need to, to get on these doctors to figure this out. I don't want to have, them find something out like 6 months from now and then they say, oh, we found out what's wrong with you and you got cancer or you got this. And if we would have found out a little bit sooner, we could have saved you. Something like that, All right, let's take a look. So yesterday after I got home, I wrote them a message. I said, of course, all my tests came back normal. Doctor said I should get an endoscopy done, which they should have done already. And still not sure why the GI doctor wouldn't do it unless he knew they would find the cause of my problems. Getting harder to live at all. Maybe it would be better if I just died. They will never find out what's wrong until I die. Doctor also referred me to a surgeon to test my gallbladder. Sorry, so frustrating. My quality of life is now. Thanks. And then I get this message. I left you a message regarding your statement below. We take threats of hurting yourself very seriously. I will be reaching out to you, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, and then as soon as I called them, they called me at the same exact time. So I was just waiting for them to answer. Nope, they wouldn't answer. And then I kept calling back. They They wouldn't answer, kept going to the machine. So I kept leaving messages, and they wouldn't call me back, so I had to keep calling them until finally, they answered. It's like ridiculous. And usually whenever I put a message, it takes 2, 3, 4, 5 days before they return a message. Now they return it right away, and then they send out the police. So incredible. And I find when I was talking to them, I recorded the whole conversation of me and this nurse. It's not this same one here. And I asked her, I said, did you call the police on me? She goes, no. I said, do you know who called the police on me? No. Well, I know who did. So then I left them some more messages. And so let's listen to what happened with the police, though. So one of the officers started laughing, and he goes, I don't mean to laugh at, I'm not laughing at you, I'm just laughing at the situation because I had the same thing happen to me. He says, I had knee surgery recently, and they told me when I had after the surgery to watch for infections and watch for sepsis. So, he did. He started having problems. He went to the emergency room. They did x-rays and an ultrasound. They couldn't find nothing. And he kept telling them there's something wrong. You got to find out what's wrong. Oh, you're fine. Their test came back normal. Nothing, couldn't find nothing. And then he waited a little while, got worse, and he went back to the emergency room. And same thing, they did all the tests, they couldn't find nothing. And he says, I'm in severe pain, I'm having all kinds of problems, there's something wrong. Well, sorry, all your tests are coming back normal. So finally he just went to Iowa City, which is where all the good doctors are. And then he went to the emergency room without a referral, just went there straight, and we're talking 90 miles away. He went there and went to the emergency room, and they found it. There was a bunch of fluid that was building up in his leg, and it would have, went on, and they said they would have had to amputate. So he said it was a good thing he went to Iowa City, and he suggested that's what I should do too. But I thought you had to have a referral. He says, no, you don't have to have a referral. It helps to have a referral because then they know you're coming and everything, but you can go straight to the emergency room. So it's like, wow. So I left him a lot of messages here. I said, you're sure quick on the draw to call the police on me, but you're not, you sure take your sweet time, to address my issues and get tests and everything. What they're doing is they're doing, okay, we're going to do this one test, we're going to send you this doctor, and they're going to do this test. And then instead of, lining up all the doctors and everything that could possibly be, they just do one thing at a time. So then I have to wait so long, how long to get to see one doctor. They do tests. Oh, they can't find nothing. Okay, well, now we've ruled that out. Okay, now let's do another test. Let's do another doctor. And then the next thing it's another month or two goes by, and then they do some tests. Luckily, I got the colonoscopy. Usually that's 2 or 3 month wait, but there was somebody that canceled, and I got in right away. But then they didn't do the endoscopy, which could have found something. Maybe, I don't know. It could be that, or even the MRI that I think might maybe find what's going on with me, but they don't want to do it. Oh, it has to be an emergency. It's cost too much money. But they've already spent over $50,000 on all these other tests that didn't find it. Why not do all the tests at the same time so you can figure it out? No, we got to do one at a time, wasting more time. I mean, what is if somebody had something serious going on? I could have something serious going on with me. But, we don't know. And they're just acting like, oh, you're fine. At the very beginning, they said, oh, you're just backed up. You just, got to get cleaned out, and then here's a laxative. And, after, 2 months of that, cleaning myself out 3 times, oh, well, I guess you're cleaned out, so it can't be that. So it must be something else, something more serious. But then it's like, it just goes on. And they just keep, sending me other places. And then everybody says, oh, well, we tested you. We can't find anything wrong. So what do you do? So I've been begging for an MRI for at least a month now, maybe a couple months. And, oh, well, that's not necessary. We're doing all these other tests instead. But why not just do it, So, I don't know. I'm just frustrated. It makes me mad. And then they called the police on me. They had a counselor there, too. And I suppose if they thought that I was suicidal, or if I was, I don't know, making threats or whatever, then they would have taken me in. But at least the police officers understood my situation, and I told them, I said, I'm not trying to commit suicide. I'm just upset about what's going on with me. And I said, look at me, and they could see that I was bloating, and now I'm bloating worse on the sides. It's really crazy. I'm bloating everywhere still, but usually it's the stomach bloats first and then the sides. But now it seems like there's more on the sides. I don't know what that is. Maybe gallbladder, who knows? But it's just weird, and the bloating's going all the way up past my heart now. So it's going into my lungs, which I don't think it's, stopping me from my lungs, but it's going up there. It's like putting pressure on my lungs is what I think is going on, and it's making it hard to breathe. But that's an emergency. But, my concerns about what's causing it isn't an emergency. So they just want me to keep going test to test, instead of trying to actually figure out what's wrong. But the police officer said, if you go to Iowa City, they will find out what's wrong. They won't stop until they figure out what's wrong. So maybe this whole thing was good that it happened. So then I can actually, they'll take me seriously, and then they'll find out what's wrong. They're not going to just sit there and say, okay, well, we did these tests and they came back normal, so you'll have to call a different doctor, and they'll actually do something and find out. So, I told them so many times I would never commit suicide because of my beliefs, and that you go to hell if you do that. I've told them that for years and years and years. I would say I've been telling them that for at least 20 years. But of course, doctors change, nurses change, so they might not all know that. But my doctor that I've had here, I've had her for, let's see, it's 2018. So 6 years, and she knows. She knows. So I don't know why they would do that. They didn't even contact me first. They just automatically called the police. That's not right either. They didn't even get my side of the story. And I told them in my messages, I said, do you know how to read? Do you need to go back to school to learn how to read so you can understand what somebody is saying? Where in there did I ever say that I'm going to hurt myself or kill myself? I never did. I just said I'm frustrated I can't find out what's going on with me. And I'm tired of waiting. Every day that goes by is another day that could be closer to death. You don't know. They don't know. So why not try to help somebody and do the tests? They're spending all this money anyway, doing all these tests one by one by one by one. Why don't do all of them? Or why not go to the ones that would show for sure, oh, it costs too much money and it has to be an emergency. Well, won't you think that by now it's an emergency? If it was just me coming in, to the emergency room one day or in a week's time, yeah. But 5 months, isn't that enough to say, hey, this guy's going through a whole bunch of crap and they haven't figured it out. Why not do the tests to try to figure it out? Nope, we got to go through all this bull of other stuff, one by one. I really believe that all they want to do is do those tests so they can make more money. Oh, they can't figure out what it is? Then they just move on to the next test. Oh, we'll just move on to this test. Don't try to figure out what's actually wrong. Just try to go step by step and then have everybody guessing, because nobody seems to know. Oh, we've done these tests. You're fine. You're fine. Everything says you're fine. Go home. You're fine. I'm not fine. Why can't doctors take people seriously instead of, just passing them off and get, I don't know. It's just upsetting. It's just upsetting. I'm going to probably have to go to Iowa City. I'm thinking about trying to go on Monday. I don't know if I can drive there or not. I've been driving short distances without major problems, but my roommate says he'll take me up there if I have to. So I'm planning on trying to go on Monday. I'm going to try to get a referral. So after all this, this nurse told me, she says, you're going to get a call from the administrator about, the whole situation and what we can do and all this blah blah and what we should do next. I said, when is she going to be calling? She goes, I don't know. So I'm like, it's been over 3 hours. I was like, see how much they care? The administrator cares so much that it's already been over 3 hours, almost 3.5 hours now. And, you think if they were truly concerned about their patients, they would call back right away. But no. And then, sure, I'm tired. I've been up since 9 now. I didn't get much sleep because I can't sleep because of my bloating and stuff. So I've noticed now when I'm on my sides, I bloat, which didn't really used to. So now I have to lay on my flat back. I switch over to the sides, but then I bloat, and sometimes it's bad, and sometimes I have to go back to my back because of the bloating and the pain. But I'm going to go back to sleep, and then they're going to call, and they're going to say, you didn't answer. I'm not sitting here waiting for hours on end, and maybe you're going to call, maybe you're not. I don't know. Frustrating. So I guess at least maybe there's a good that comes out of this, because maybe they'll finally take me seriously, and maybe they'll finally do the right tests so they can finally figure out what's wrong with me, so I can finally do the things that I need to do to get better. Instead of, oh, sorry, all your tests are normal, so we don't know what it is. We're going to just send you to a different doctor. Oh, they don't know what it is. Oh, they don't know what it is. Nobody knows what it is. But don't worry, we'll just keep doing tests. The tests keep coming back normal. My symptoms are different. There's something else going on that your test can't detect. Is it that frickin' hard to understand? Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? I don't know. It's just, I don't know. It's just frustrating. Can't get answers. So the police officers were actually more helpful than the doctors, because they, it's good. I'm glad, there was an officer who had the similar problems. I mean, not stomach problems, but he had a problem with them doing tests and not finding nothing. And he says, there's something wrong. He said, your body, if there's something wrong. And when they do tests and they don't find nothing, and they just shrug it off. Oh, like at the beginning when they said I was just backed up, the doctor looked at me like I was crazy, like I went to the emergency room for nothing, wasting their time, when all I was backed up. And I knew it was something more than that. We've already proved it. So, I don't know. I want to keep going on, but there you go. There's what happened my day so far. I also found out yesterday that Medicaid is dropping me. They said they wouldn't, but now Medicaid's dropping me. And now Medicare says that they're going to charge me $174 a month for premiums. So it's like, now I'm down to the point where I don't think I have enough money to get by every month. So I have to call them today too and try to figure out why, because they told me it was free. Because I told them, they asked me, when I wanted to sign up for Medicare, I said, no, I don't want to sign up for Medicare. I can't afford it. And they said, oh, you don't have to worry, sir. It's all free. Now suddenly they're charging me. So I got to figure out what's going on with that. It's like everything is just going wrong. There's other things wrong too, but we're not going to go into everything that's wrong. I'm just upset that, this is happening to me. That, anybody else would have this, the same thing, they'd be upset too. I even told the nurse, I said, put yourself in my shoes. What would you do? Would you just, if you had a problem where you thought you were dying, would you just go to the doctors, and then when they tell you everything's normal, would you just ignore it then? Or would you keep trying to figure out what's wrong with you? I understand, sir. Well, then if you did, you wouldn't call the fucking police. You wouldn't be, acting like I'm committing suicide when I'm trying to find out what's going on. I said, why would I go through all these tests and all that if I was just going to commit suicide? And I said, why would I leave all these messages of how I am and how I feel like I'm dying? And then why would I even leave those messages? I would just do it. But, you don't have to worry about that, because That's something I would never do. Sure, there's times I get so frustrated I feel like I'm dying. Sometimes I want to die because it's just so much frustration and pain and misery going through all this. So, it just doesn't make sense to me. I don't know. I love you guys. Pray for me. I'm going to try to go up to Iowa City on Monday. Maybe they can finally figure out what's going on. At least something maybe is coming out of it. Good, out of it was lucky. I think it was a weird situation where the police officer, they totally understood what I was going through. I told them I'm not committing suicide. I'm just frustrated. I'm tired of waiting to try to figure out what's wrong with me. And I told them the whole situation. I've been to all these doctors and I'm still having all these problems. And they understood. They understood, and they were like, if you want, you can have a counselor. I said, well, what? The counselor can't help my problem. But, you can talk to him. Well, yeah, but, nothing's going to get solved from it. So, yeah, you're right, sir. So they just suggested to go to a different doctor, go to Iowa City, try to get this solved. But at least the officers understood, and they probably put it in the report that, yeah, this guy's not suicidal. Crazy. Thanks for watching. I love you guys. God bless.